This week on the Organized Life podcast.
If we don't practice that self-awareness, oftentimes we can put ourselves in more of a defensive state. If somebody
Mm,
being, what's the word? Coming with constructive criticism, and we're not self-aware and able to take that information, like, oh yeah, I do that, or oh maybe I do, but it's grounded in this. Like, here's the reasoning why. Instead, it comes off of as I don't do that, or but you do
mm,
this, and so like,
yeah,
but
that's
it's not about
good.
me, I'm we're talking about you right now. And so the
Yeah,
person isn't able to look at that or
receive.
have right, receive it, have a conversation around it.
Yeah,
They're always pointing it back at the
yeah.
other person, or just being defensive. And so
Hey, and welcome to the Organized Life podcast, where we are creating a movement with powerful organizing strategies and systems that save you space, time, energy, and money. I am your host, TakillaRene, the life organizing strategist, the owner of Xtreme Audacity Organized Solutions, and professional organizers. And today I have my special guest, Danielle Griffin. Welcome, Danielle.
hi, thanks for having me.
Yes, thank you for being here. Well, you guys know we are on this journey of creating the organized life. It's not just about your space, it's about creating a life full of peace, productivity that produces purpose, that pushes you towards your purpose. And that's why I have Danielle on here today. She helps professionals reduce stress, relieve pain, and heal from trauma and grief. And so today we're going to have an amazing conversation about all these things. But first, Danielle, would you please tell the Organized Life listeners a little bit more about you?
Yes. So just like you said, my main goal is to help people reduce their stress, chronic pain, and I came into this space from my own personal experiences, especially coming out of COVID. My father passed, my father-in-law
Mm,
passed. My mom was grieving. We have moving around of us and my mom, and just a lot of upheaval causing stress. I also had a newborn on our hands. So,
mm,
postpartum things, all that go with it, high blood pressure. And I was finding myself, just kind of in this trapped state of that chronic stress and pain, working myself to the ground, getting very little sleep, and just feeling like I was in this constant cycle,
yeah.
serving others, not really being able to serve myself, but also not realizing I needed to serve myself.
Mm,
And so, doing some internal work, deep diving, trying to understand what's going
yeah.
on, why my eyebrows are turning gray, and why
Oh,
I can't
no.
get why I can't get my blood pressure under control. I was taking medicine, I was exercising, I was even teaching yoga, and just like, something had to give. Like, why do I feel this way? And so I started down this journey of learning about holistic wellness, somatic exercise, hypnotherapy, um, and I just saw how it transformed my life in such a short period of time. And when I
Mm,
say short, within a couple months, when you start to hear other people saying they notice a difference, that's how I know, like, change is happening,
yeah.
whether I realized it or not. Like, I didn't necessarily attribute it to that right away. Um, but when I saw how much it benefited me and my life, my wellness, how I
Yeah.
interacted with others, how I treated others, how I just presented myself, I knew I had to learn it, and I knew I had to help others with it.
Mm,
I knew so many people that were going through similar things with me,
yeah.
whether it be grief or chronic stress. and pain, whether it be from an accident or just the pain that we're carrying from emotional trauma. A lot of us are dealing with that, especially as we get older. We're caretaking, whether it be children or adults or both. Um,
Mhm.
we need that consistent practice of self care, even if it's just for a few minutes a day. And that's what I'm, trying to share with the world.
Oh, nice. I love that. Oftentimes, we get our calling in the midst of some trauma. We
Right.
learn what it is that we're supposed to be doing and how to heal from all of that stuff. And if you're wise, you'll use it to help other people.
I definitely agree. When I learned about it and how much it benefited, I'm like, I can't not share this, that
Yeah,
and just in my nature being, having that kind of teacher, educator mentality, experience, life experience, but also, being a woman of God and you know, being a healer by nature, like
yeah,
I have to be able to share, even if it was just with one person.
absolutely. Yeah, when I started organizing, I was doing it for fun, right? I didn't do it for like a business. It was like, oh, this is fun. And then I learned people were getting paid to do what I had been doing for free, like literally all my life. I've only
Right.
been in the profession for 9 years. So, I mean, and I'm not young. I know I look young, y'all, but I'm not. Okay. And so I've only been doing this for a short time. I've done it for free for the majority of my life. So you've been helping people the majority of your life. Now you've created a system, a strategy to actually get paid to do the thing you've been doing for free.
Right. Yes. Bonus, right?
Yeah. Well, listen, so Danielle, you hold a doctorate in organizational leadership and now specialize in somatic healing. Sorry. From your unique lens, what are most high performing achievers, leadership, high performing achieving leaders? Where do they go wrong when we think about stress and burnout?
I think most go wrong in that oftentimes they just feel like they don't have time. They feel like in order to
Mm,
reduce stress, they need, an hour and a half massage, or they need a week-long vacation, or they need to spend, at least an hour in the gym every day, and all those things can also be true just in terms of what people like and enjoy and appreciate. I definitely always recommend people take a vacation, right?
but
Just
those vacations, you need a vacation after the vacation, Danielle.
right,
Those
for
vacations
some.
they do not always be vacation-ish,
Right, right.
right?
Depends on who you go with also.
That's true. And all the things that you got to come back to. If you didn't set yourself up for success, you're coming back to
To more work.
stress. Yeah,
Right,
more work.
right.
But
And
sorry, carry on.
no, you're fine. And so, one of my goals is to show people, like, the best thing is to do it in increments, do small bits at a time each day, so that you're not getting to the point where, like, "All right, I've gone a whole year without any self-care or wellness or vacation," or whatever the case may be, and now I'm at a breaking point. Because what ends up happening when people actually take that time, it takes almost that same amount of time just to get to the point where they can actually relax. They're so wound up, whether it be they're still looking at their phones, checking their email, or, just on alert constantly, waking up throughout the night because of things going on in their mind about what's back at home waiting for them,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And that level of stress just takes so long to reduce so that you can regulate your nervous system and actually get to a state where you can rest and recover. And if you're not doing that on a regular basis, throughout the day, at least once a day, whether it be a morning or at night, it the time that you take at your massage isn't truly maximized, especially if you're only
Mhm.
doing it once a month. Some people go more regularly, but our bodies really need more. We can't wait to get all that stress and pain pent up in our system before we actually release it.
Yeah. That's good. Many like of my listeners and high performing people, um, even myself at one point, we have we can be extremely organized on paper, right? We can look very organized. We can have the planners, we can have some systems, we can have some structure. But why do you believe that burnout can still happen even when someone appears organized?
There's a number of things. Burnout happens just because the level of stress that they're under,
Yeah,
the worry, concern, um, that emotional anxiety. No matter how much some people have it together, like, all right, I know the exact plan that's laid out. If I do X, Y, and Z, this is going to happen, right? But some people constantly, worry and keep their mind on it, or some people are micromanagers, or some people don't
yeah,
have the support and resources that they might need to release it, so maybe they're doing it all on their own or with a very
mhm,
small team. And so that even if they know exactly what they need to do, a lot of the weight is still carried. And so again, if they don't have those opportunities to release it, sometimes we can't change our situation in terms of how much resources we have or who we have available,
mhm,
um, or it might take time to find somebody to fill a role or whatever the case may be, or maybe you just have a really big project that is hands-on for everybody. Um, Having another resource to help reduce that mental stress and burden that we carry is going to be the key thing for many people to help see them through a lot of these situations without that burnout. Granted, you're still gonna have some stress, right? We can't
yeah,
live life without stress, that's just
right,
natural, but just managing it in a way that's effective, that you're still getting sleep, that you're not coming out on the back end of a project with a hospitalization. So,
right, right.
all these things are key and work together.
You know what I found? I found that when the weight is heavy, it causes me confusion and I have a hard time focusing. So I think, to your point, making sure you have the resources, the people, the community to help you get through those stressful and hard times is so important.
Right,
Community, I'm so big on it. I wouldn't have my business without it. Community is church, community is other entrepreneurs, community is other women, support, coaches, so many different aspects can be community. So having that community, having that support that you need is so vital.
right. Between community as well as wellness tools, I
Yeah.
believe in just creating a space for yourself, a practice, if you will, in terms of, okay, at night, I'm going to, light my aromatherapy candle, take a Epsom salt bath, things to help calm my nerves, and just do those on a regular basis as much as possible to restore and make us feel whole again. And if we don't have those even small tools, like I said, just a simple aromatherapy candle can be so fulfilling and enriching. If you find that that right scent
Yeah.
that you love, um, that can help change your mood a lot.
Yeah. I concur.
Yeah.
So you often talk about the problem isn't your calendar; it's stored up in your body. So I'm hearing you kind of say that right now. Can
Yeah.
you explain what that actually means for busy professionals trying to create the organized life? Like, how can we see those signs and signals like it's stored up in our body? And I love what you're saying, like use the aromatherapy, a bubble bath, those small gestures, they really do help. So
Mhm.
explain how we can actually create the organized life when we have those things or stored up in our body or can even see that it's stored up in our body.
Yeah. A lot of it is by having an awareness, if you take even, I encourage people what I call 90-second pause. You just take a minute, 30 seconds to just pause and give yourself a sense of awareness. Like in this moment are my shoulders and my ears. If I just relax and breathe, do my shoulders start to fall? Like if I
Yeah,
notice that my shoulders fall, like wow, I was carrying tension and I didn't realize it.
yeah,
And just kind of starting to be aware of that throughout the day. Like, okay, I'm holding my tension in my shoulders, relax. Or for me, it's my jaw usually. I feel the clenching. If I don't
mm,
actively take time throughout the day to release, my jaw is so in pain, wound up, inflamed. Like usually I need Tylenol or ibuprofen or something just to help
oh wow,
kind of, relax that tension for my jaw. Um, for other people, it can be other things, whether it's shoulder pain, back pain. If you're finding that, okay, if I take this time, I light the candle and I'm observing how it smells and I'm starting to relax, I'm feeling, and now I can actually like lay down and not feel like I'm in pain. Sometimes people like, I need 10 pillows and need a new mattress and a mattress pad, or just to feel like they're comfortable. But sometimes it's just because our muscles are so tight.
mm,
The bed could be the most comfortable bed in the world, but if we're not able to release that tension, nothing is going to help relax. So,
yeah,
finding those little things that like, oh, I when I did this, I noticed a shift in my presence. I noticed a shift in my mood and motion, my pain levels. And that's when you can know like having everything together, having the best scheduler or the best apps to help keep us
yeah,
organized, the best AI, whatever the case may be, that's not gonna stop the that pain that we're carrying.
yeah. How does our nervous system regulation support consistency, like in follow through and even maybe productivity long term?
Yeah, our bodies naturally want us to breathe. Our bodies naturally want us to move. And you'll find that once you start doing those things, the
Mm,
somatic practice is a meditation, breath work, and movement. And when you find you start to integrate that, like I said, even in those 90 seconds, your body is going to crave it. If we're sitting down at our desk, I'm notorious for that, especially when I was working at the university. I would get into work and I would literally sit there until the end of the day when I was leaving. Maybe a restroom break or two, but 8 hours not moving, and my hips would cramp up. And especially when it gets really bad, your body almost is forcing you to stand up or move because it's just so tight. It hurts, it's pain, it's inflamed. But when you start to treat it in the way that it needs to be treated, it wants to be treated to regulate it, to bring that synovial fluid to the joints. When you're breathing, you're um, bringing oxygen to the muscles as well as circulating the blood, um, reducing inflammation to those areas. Your body is going to want more of it. It's going to signal to your brain, "Hey, this feels good. This is exactly what I needed." And the areas that you need it more, it
mm-hmm.
when you start to kind of have that awareness, your body will start talking to you. Sometimes,
Yeah.
I use the example, I'm a yoga instructor as well. But when we're in the class, the instructor will come with a class plan. They'll tell you exactly what to do and when. And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people like that. They want to be told what to do when. It's often hard for us to decide, what am I going to do in my workout today? How am I going to exercise? And
Right.
coming up with a plan versus going to an instructor and they have the plan for you. But what I appreciate about this practice is, your body will tell you the plan. Your body will tell
Mm.
you exactly what you need. And just being aware and listening and doing the movement that feels good to your body. There's no right or wrong answer. So, and you do it as
Yeah.
long as you need to. If your body's telling you to breathe a little more, like when you inhale and let it go, that sigh and release, if you need more of that, do as much as you need to till you say,
Uh,
I don't need it anymore.
so is that the thesis of the somatic exercise made simple? And if not, what is? And go into a little bit more detail about that in your book.
Yeah. Essentially, yeah, it's doing the practice of the breath work, meditation, and movement. So finding those areas, especially in my first book, it's kind of like point to the pain. You can flip to the section like, here are some movements that are specific to these areas that you can do that might feel good. Here's some breath work, some exercises that you can do that might feel good. Some meditative practices, whether it's just some visualization, for some people it's prayer, and just starting to incorporate, what feels good and natural to you in that moment, and creating a practice. There's a little log at the end and some sheets that you can download to document your practice.
Mm.
Say from day to day, my body enjoyed this, appreciate this. I did it for X amount of time. And the next day I either did the same or did something different. And you're just kind of allowing yourself to make those adjustments from day to day.
Yeah. Okay, so yesterday I had a long day. Monday and Tuesdays are pretty long, and I'm in my front of my computer almost all day. And I haven't really had this, but I had this pain like all up and down the side of my neck and back. And it was like it started hitting me at the end of the day. And then when I got done, I was like, it really hurts. And so then I had to do some stretching and some I actually rubbed this cream on my back and neck and put like a hot pad on there. And by the time I went to bed, I was feeling a lot better. And I woke up today with no pain because I was so nervous about, having to work all day today with pain in my neck.
Yeah.
But what are some movements or some things like high performers? They usually are in front of a computer a lot these days. They're
Right.
not high performing, moving around doing exercises all day. They're
Right.
like in front of a computer most often. What are some things that we can do to uh, help our bodies to keep that movement? As far as like maybe uh, setting some time in our calendar to stretch, like what I need to start doing.
Yeah, there's a few different things. Like I said, the calendar works well for some people. I know there was a period when I first started the practice on my phone. I literally create an alarm for every hour, and it would go off. Um, Sometimes I would do it, sometimes I didn't. Just depends on what's going on. But I knew
Right.
when the alarm went off, okay, that was an hour that passed. Do I need it at that point, or was my last
Mm.
session good enough to carry me through? I don't necessarily need it every hour, but early on when I started it, I did.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah, yeah, yeah.
needed something, whether it was just breathing or moving, I needed something. But as time went on, I didn't need as much. And eventually I just stopped the alarms because now I was more in tune to my body,
Yeah.
and I knew the practice better and what I needed. So I actually do it more in the morning than any other times.
Mhm.
If I've had a pretty busy, like intensive computer session, like you said, if I've been there for more hours than necessary, I start to feel it in my body, especially my hips or my shoulder or neck and jaw. Those are some of my key areas. Um, but other things people can look for is, creating the practice, whether it be first thing in the morning or at night before you go to bed. Those are usually the two easiest. Sometimes it's hard to break through the mentality that
midday.
I can, I don't have time. I can, finding time during the day when usually there's some time. So
Yeah.
once people start to build that awareness and actually feel, feel it throughout the day and stop ignoring
Mhm.
before the evening time, that's when they start, okay, I know when I'm starting to feel that intense, neck,
Yeah.
shoulder pain. Let me take a quick moment before my next meeting.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's usually what I encourage. Like, all right, if you have a busy day, maybe a couple back-to-back meetings, try to squeeze it in between the meetings before you go into your next session. Or if you do take a lunch break during the day, doing some movement while you're heating up your food, whether it just be some gentle twists,
Yeah.
do shoulder rolls,
Yeah.
bending your neck from left to right. It doesn't necessarily have to be on the floor. A lot of things can be in the chair. You might like cross one leg over the other to, open up your hip a little bit.
Ah.
Those are some easy, quick, easy go to. It doesn't have to be a full on yoga mat session.
Yeah, I'm a dancer and I absolutely love the shoulder rolls. They feel so good to the point to where I'm be like, when warming up before dance, they're stopping and I'm like, I'm not ready to move to the
Right.
next stretch.
You're like, "I need this more," and
Yeah.
that's kind of the practice of somatics, like, you're listening to your body, like, "This feels really good to me right now, I need more of this," so
Yeah. So Danielle, we're doing this new thing on the Organized Life podcast where we flip the mic, and I would love to give you an opportunity to ask me a question. So, do you have a question that you would like to ask me?
sure, just thinking about organization, you kinda mentioned the the high performers that have it all together, but I also know the stress high performers that can be very disorganized. So, what are some of the things that they struggle with most, or where where kind of what is the source of the disorganization for those people?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that we fail to look at is our calendar and our schedule. Because no matter how organized you get in your physical space, if that calendar and schedule is out of order, your
Mm,
physical space is going to get back cluttered. So we have to manage our time in order to manage our space, our energy, and our money. So that's the system approach: save, use space, time, energy, and money. But if our time is out of order, there's no way that we're going to be able to get organized and create what I call the organized life, because our time is so valuable and so limited that we have to manage it. And so, like, how are you getting up in the morning? How are you going to bed at night? Are you meal prepping? Are you meal planning? What days are you doing your laundry? So we can talk about all of that. We can get it all done, but if you don't have it in your calendar when you're going to do certain things, you're going to fall back off the wagon. Your laundry is going to get back piled up sky high, right?
right.
You're going to be buying things that you didn't, that you already have, that you didn't need. So it's important to get your calendar, your schedule, your time in order so that you can create
Mm,
the organized life. So a lot of us have our calendar in order in our business, but when it's time to go home and live the organized life, it's a mess,
yeah,
right? So our high
yeah,
performers, they're really good with their work, and because we have to be accountable to people. At
yeah,
home, we have less accountability.
yeah,
So that's the kind of the premise of it. Like, our calendar and our schedule, our time needs to be in order for us to create and maintain the organized life.
yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, that really resonates because, what I've told people as well, especially for my own personal journey, is having those boundaries in terms of your schedule, your planning,
Yeah.
your calendar, and being able to say, okay, I'm going to stop work at a specific time, right? Or
Mhm.
not allow people to, um, in a way, take advantage of my time,
Yep.
and they can't take advantage of it unless I don't allow them to,
Yes,
right?
sir. Yeah. Yeah.
And so I know for myself, especially historically, I'm like a yes person, oh yeah, I'll do that, I'll get to that. And then I have 50 other things on my calendar and staying up till 2 o'clock in the morning, trying to get things done for other people. And
Mhm.
so, that was one lesson that I learned on this journey as well,
Yeah.
and then blocking my times, being able to transition to different projects rather, and having kind of my focus time, if you will, and then, the boundary of stopping work at a specific time and being able to be
Mhm.
present for my family during
Yeah.
after hours,
Yeah.
and knowing that the work is still gonna get done, the work is still there.
It's not going
It's
anywhere.
not going anywhere.
Yeah.
So
Okay, you guys. So, first of all, this is Dr. Danielle. Excuse me. I've been not acknowledging the doctorate. Okay. Listen, when you do the hard work, you, uh, she's very humble, you guys. She's like, that's okay. No, give me my name. It's Dr. Danielle. All right. So, Dr. Danielle, you've worked with type A professionals who try everything, right? What are some signs that someone is operating in survival mode instead of true productivity?
they, just don't have that awareness. They're not looking up from their work or their notepad. They're just floating along, you know?
Ah,
They're not aware of how they actually feel. They're not aware of, um, how they're interacting with others. They're
mhm,
oftentimes we're kind of losing our space in our relationships, coming more distant because, burnt out, um, overloaded mental stress, pain, and anxiety. And oftentimes we're avoiding, the reality of what it is, being able to face the fact that I don't feel the way I should. And I might actually
mhm,
have to do something about it. I might have to
right,
stop doing this or reducing this or how I'm operating currently. A lot of us are driven by success, by, financial security and the fear of losing out. If I stop doing this,
yeah,
I won't have it. But it takes a rewiring of the brain to know that you don't have to stop, but you might change how you're operating. There's other
yeah,
ways that you can do it and still get it done and still nurture yourself and your relationships to be fruitful and fulfilling and still have all the things. And like I said, for my own personal journey, that's what I had to learn, learning to let go, to shift, to delegate, um, and be more purposeful in my life as a whole, so that I'm not taking on too much and I can do the things that are going to nurture my business as well as myself and my family. Mm.
yeah. That's great. So we would love to push through the discomfort. So that's a great segue into my next question. How can we tell the difference between the healthy stretch and the nervous system overload?
Um, Gosh, that's a good one. I think w- having that awareness when when you do start to do some of the work, the movement, the breath work, and kind of like you were saying, when you do your shoulder rolls and you just don't want to stop.
Yes.
You're just in it, and your body is just constantly saying, I need more of this. Like, don't stop. Yeah, please keep going.
Yeah.
That's when you kind of know, okay, I've overworked myself, even if it not necessarily long term, but whether it's I sat down way too long, I've um, really stressed out from what's going on, your body needs more relief than what we're giving it. Versus if somebody's more regulated, doing the things on a regular basis, they won't need as much time. They'll be able to relieve some of that tension quicker. It's also a retraining of our bodies, our
Mhm.
minds and bodies to do the practice and to relieve that tension and that overload. And so once you know how to do it and you're in the practice of doing it, does happen a lot faster. You don't need as much time, but you're also doing it more consistently. Um, and so I would say those are probably the biggest things. If I'm just doing a healthy stretch,
Mhm.
it's because I'm doing the healthy stretch consistently and my body knows it. And if I'm just do this, I can release it, one big stretch, and then I'm done. But if your
Yeah.
body's like, "Oh, I need a few more," and, over here feels good too, and
Yeah. Yeah. I talk about self-awareness so much on this podcast because you can't really get organized until you're self-aware. You can't,
Right,
like, I just don't feel like there's much success in anything until you first become self-aware. I don't care if it's business, relationally, spiritually. You gotta know where you are,
right,
right? In order to get to the other side. So like keeps bringing up self awareness,
mhm,
and I keep bringing it up also when I'm when I'm guest on podcasts because it's so important.
yeah, it definitely is. If we don't practice that self-awareness, oftentimes we can put ourselves in more of a defensive state, if somebody
Mm,
being, what's the word? Coming with constructive criticism, and we're not self-aware and able to take that information like, "Oh, yeah, I do that," or, "Oh, maybe I do, but it's grounded in this, like, here's the reasoning why." Instead, it comes off of as, "I don't do that," or, "But you do
mm,
this," and so, like,
yeah,
but,
that's
it's not about
good.
me, I'm we're talking about you right now, and so the
Yeah,
person isn't able to look at that or
receive.
receive it, have a conversation around it.
Yeah,
They're always pointing it back at, the
yeah.
other person, or, just being defensive, and so
Mm,
once we start to have that awareness, some of those defensive walls start to fall, and that's when we really start to make changes in our lives.
mm, that's good. I like that. So, Dr. Danielle, could you tell us about the Rise and Renew retreat? And then could you go into, like, what are some first steps towards real transformation? And how does something like the Rise and Renew retreat accelerate the process?
Yes, so the Rise and Renew retreat is, a retreat I'm doing in the end of April or in early May, April 27th. 5 nights where a small group of us will be getting together to really do that restoration work, and showing the attendees how to start resetting your nervous system as soon as you get there, versus, like
Mm,
I was saying earlier, where it can take people a long time if you don't have the proper tools and techniques in place. And so as soon as we get there, we start working on that process. And then the goal is that by the time you leave, you have the resources you need to continue the practice,
yeah,
so that you're not waiting a whole nother year, or, I don't have dates yet for the next one, but
yeah,
whenever the next retreat will be, to get your reset, you can do those consistent daily practices for yourself because you've taken that away from the retreat, and you're able to manage your stress, pain, anxiety, on your own, or, continuing with us as a group virtually to
yeah,
help manage that. So,
yeah. That's awesome. So we've talked about a lot today, you guys. Is there anything that we didn't cover that you would like to talk about, Danielle? Doctor.
Uh,
Danielle.
it's no problem. I would say the other thing is I recently launched my online shop, and so my books are available online as well as just creating a resource, a platform for individuals who are on this wellness journey, looking for that additional support, whether it be, like I said, from our group coaching or just having other products, wellness products, lifestyle products to support your journey, whether it be the candle or
Mm-hmm.
magnesium body butter or whatever the case to help calm your nerves. Um, and these are all things that can be effective for healing, restoration, um, and like I said, to create that consistent daily practice that makes you feel good so that you can live the good life.
Yeah, that's awesome. We'll make sure you guys have access to all of the things, okay? So Danielle, would you like to leave us with some final words?
The final words that I would leave you with are, just remember your 90-second pause. It only takes a few
Mm,
seconds. It doesn't have to be 20 minutes, doesn't have to be an hour. Give yourself just those few moments throughout the day to reset mentally and physically, to help shift your mood, your mentality, your physical being, um, so that you can live a happy and healthy life.
yeah, awesome. And where can we find you, Danielle? Like, give us all the things, and I'll make sure you guys have access to it. But tell us where we can find you.
Yeah. Dr. Danielle Griff, pretty much everywhere. That's my website is drdaniellegriff.com. On most social media platforms, Dr. Danielle Griff. I think I'm everywhere except X, but Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, Dr. Danielle Griff. So you can
Yeah,
find me.
awesome. You heard it, Dr. Danielle Green. Okay. All right, you guys. Danielle, thank you so much for being here. It was such a pleasure having you.
No, thanks for the invite. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So you guys, if remember, if whatever strategy or system you're putting in place is not saving you in all four areas, space, time, energy, and money, you want to rethink it, tweak it, revisit it, see where you're actually losing because you guys know there's a hidden cost to clutter. I did a whole series on that. Go back and check it out if you haven't. So, if you want to be a guest here on the Organized Life podcast, if you have a question for me or one of my guests that you would like answered, send us an email at info@extremeaudacity.com. We'll get you into rotation. We'll get your question into rotation, and I would love to have you. Until next time, thanks again, Danielle, for being here.
Thank you.
Well, ciao, you guys.